So, The Dark Knight Rises is still a really interesting movie and a really great finish to the Christopher Nolan trilogy, but I do think that it has some shortcomings in terms of the overall plot. And I really think with a few minor changes, you could have really taken this movie to the next level. But really starting with what The Dark Knight Rises does right, I think you have a pretty good first half, or even the first 2/3 of the movie I think are excellent, especially everything leading up to the first fight between Batman and Bane. And obviously seeing Batman be beaten here is interesting within itself, but I think what's also interesting about this is that the execution is well done, even beyond just Batman being rusty and a lot older here. I would say the real reason that Batman actually loses is because he gets too content. He just assumes that he's going to go in there and beat Bane like he always does, so he doesn't really do any sort of preparation. But I would say you also have a pretty clear advantage to Bane for being in the sewer, which is pretty much a home field advantage here. And I think this really sets up good potential for the ending of the movie and really puts Batman in a metaphorical place to the themes of the whole trilogy. And seeing him come out of that, I think, is all excellent. But really, I think where the movie obviously falls apart is the climax, specifically the rematch between Batman and Bane. And really, I think for a lot of reasons that this just isn't really executed that well. Looking at just some of the physical things, obviously I wouldn't say the choreography is anything special, but I don't think that's really too much of a concern here, since this does kind of match the style for this whole trilogy. But I would say just an immediate thought that would come into mind is that the scene just looks out of place. I think you are going for a more drastic shift towards the rest of the Batman movies by having this shot in the daytime. But I don't really think that fits into a Batman movie, as Batman obviously operates at night. And then along with this, I think it just doesn't make sense that Batman somehow quickly overpowers Bane after he spent a lot of time in prison and has recovered from a broken back. And I also think just the whole fight in general doesn't really match the arc that Bruce Wayne goes through in this movie. So with all of this, I don't think it makes sense that Batman would just pretty much go in the same way he fought the first time and expect a different outcome, because I think realistically he would have lost again. And obviously, I think you should have gone with a nighttime setting here, or I think maybe something in terms of the morning with just the sun coming up, but it's still fairly dark. Could have been symbolic as well, but I really think you should have allowed a little bit more time for Batman to prepare after escaping the prison or the pit. I think it would have been really interesting to mirror Batman Begins, where Batman first creates his suit in the Batcave. I think maybe if you had about a period of 24 hours in between Batman returning home and the bomb going off, if you had Bruce really reinventing his suit and his plan in the Batcave to face Bane, I think that could have been interesting. But I really think for Batman, he would have been a lot more calculated in the rematch, and I think he obviously would have won by outsmarting Bane rather than just simply overpowering him. You do have him going after his mask and targeting it and stuff like that, but I think here Batman would still have used his environment and a lot of his tricks to his advantage. I think even looking at the leg brace he has that really strengthens his ability to get back out there, I think he could have maybe even developed something for the whole suit that really would have made his punches stronger. But I don't think there has to be an exact thing specifically, just the fact that Batman would have really prepared for the rematch and come up with a clever plan that was really shown in an engaging fashion. And I think that likely would have really added to the climax here. But I think everything else besides that is fine. I still think that this is an excellent movie. It's still one of my favorite Batman movies. I think the whole trilogy is excellent. But feel free to let me know your thoughts on this, and I'll see you later.